Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of Florida Man Does Weather post Disney Marathon weekend. Unfortunately, the forecast verified and it was a scorcher of a marathon, but the majority of us were able to make it through. Huge kudos to Disney and their crew and their staff who were on top of everything and very well prepared and had the medics and the hydration and the ice ready and at the last minute diverted the course for the last about 4,000 runners as the temperatures became too hot and they needed to provide a means to get all the runners off the track as quickly as they could. So they were able to redirect the course, cut about a mile and a half off for the back 4,000 runners, so they were still able to finish on an abbreviated course. So kudos to Disney for handling all of that like absolute professionals and taking good care of us. Yours truly was able to fully fill out the challenge and is now a finisher of the 48.6 mile Dopey challenge that Disney offers. Um, Looking ahead, you've got the Princess Fairy Tale Weekend coming up at the end of February. We will be watching that for you and providing race forecasts as well on that. That weekend is also a special weekend because it is a double header. You also have the Orange Blossom Half Marathon that will be happening in Central Florida at the exact same time as Princess Weekend. Yours truly will be running in that event, so we will be sure to keep you posted on that as well. Kaleb, we've got some snow going on here in the southeast over the weekend. There are rumblings as to some winter weather making it all the way south. What is going on here?
Yeah, so the GFS was way more aggressive even just yesterday, but the European has always been the less aggressive of the two models, but they kind of sort of met in the middle and have now finally both agreed that really this is going to be a very limited snow event in term of total area covered, but it's going to be in a weird spot. Florida, we might get in on some panhandle snow once again. I don't think it's going to stick or accumulate to much of anything. But yeah, you live up in the panhandle west of Tallahassee, you might see some snowflakes Sunday morning. Don't be surprised. We've got a very strong trough coming through, lots of cold air plunging down with it, and it's just meeting up right at the right time to produce just enough moisture on the backside of a developing nor'easter. And sadly, for people in the Northeast that really want to see a big snowstorm, this one's just not going to do it for you. It won't be big. You will probably see some snow Sunday into Monday or Monday morning, but it's not going to be as big as it could have been. It's just not going to take that premium track with enough strength. Some of the earlier runs of the GFS this week, and even some of the ensembles, but the ensembles for this were pretty spread out for a while. But they were showing like 970s, 960s lows coming maybe 100 miles off of the coast of Cape Cod. Now that is like pretty premium for a big New England coastal snowstorm like that. If that were to have happened, that would have been like a foot plus from really like Long Island up to Boston. But instead, you're probably going to get 2 to 6 inches out of this. We'll see. These these are pretty hard for the models to handle, as you can probably tell with the amount of uncertainty that's been going on between the two. It's just a tricky forecast scenario. But let's scope into the southeast real quick. So, um, take a couple of soundings from that little belt of snow in Georgia. So we're going to be looking at what kind of snow we're going to deal with. So we've got plenty of cold air and moisture in your snow growth region. That is perfect. The only issue is going to be your lower levels, but this might work in your favor for longevity of snow. So that drier air layer, as long as it's not too pronounced, you'll have snowflakes falling through there and they'll evaporate, and that is going to initiate what's called evaporative cooling. Um, Josh, can you explain that to the people? It's
Absolutely.
hard for me to
So
explain it.
So evaporative cooling, how that works is as you've got your snow falling through the mid layers as they fall out of this snow growth region right here, the DGG, the dendritic growth zone. As the snowflakes fall, when they fall into this zone of very dry air, those snowflakes will end up evaporating. So as the snowflakes evaporate, heat is released, and as heat is released, the surrounding region cools because that heat ends up just dispersing. It the heat the heat ends up getting taken into the water as the water evaporates because it's a state change. So it gets dispersed through the snow as the snow changes phase from snowflakes and quite literally either sublimes into gas or turns into rain. When that happens, it cools the surrounding air mass significantly to the point that you can actually see this skew-T sounding. As you can see, the surface is listed as 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That evaporative cooling can bring that all the way back down to sub-freezing levels with a pronounced and sustained uh, snow event where the snow is coming out of that dendritic growth zone into that evaporative cooling zone, and it can actually modify that skew-T to the point that you end up getting sustained snowfall.
Perfect, perfect. So yeah, that's going to be the real issue with this. Can we see that sustained snowfall enough to uh, bring that evaporative cooling through that drier layer and down to the surface? Because at this point, with the temperatures you have above the surface, you would see snow falling to the surface if it were moist and that dry layer didn't exist, but it wouldn't stick because the surface is
No way.
35. So you just have like decorative snow basically. But if this is able to kind of sustain for maybe an hour or two, that would pretty efficiently get rid of that dry air, should cool you down just enough, maybe that 32, 33-degree mark. And depending on your snowfall rate, 33 degrees, you can see accumulation on grassy surfaces. Roads should be okay. Bridges, probably not. You'll probably have some iciness, but just because of that local little thing where wherever you have a bridge crossing that's lower elevation, cold air likes to pull in lower elevations because it's more dense. So you'd have some freezing problems on bridges, but hopefully, hopefully you can get that evaporative cooling to take place because this would be a nice little treat. I could see snowfall ranging from maybe a trace down in the panhandle, just a nice little dusting, to maybe 1 or 2 inches in southern Georgia. But it's not going to be that long term of a snowfall event. Like this will be something that sticks around to maybe about 10 a.m. in the morning, and then your daytime heating will take some control. You will end up above freezing after the snowfall is done. So it'll be there, and then it'll be pretty much leaving within a few hours of it falling. So just a nice little decorative treat. And then let's go see what the Euro is thinking. Now we won't
While
be
we're
able
doing
to
that, Caleb,
access soundings.
question is, what kind of time frame are we looking at for this event?
Okay. So I would say your snowfall would probably start around the 3 to 4 a.m. time frame in these locations, kind of starting from like west to east a little bit. It's kind of a weird scenario. So you have moisture coming up from the south as your cold air is spilling in. So it's going to meet a little bit behind the cold front. Um, Not even really a cold front at this point because this is going to be a developing low. So it's like a pseudo cold front, warm front type of scenario right there. But
Working
you
more
are going to
so on
have
like
a
Saturday night, right? Saturday night and Sunday morning.
Yeah, Saturday night into Sunday morning for the southeast. So this would be like 3 to 4 a.m. probably is when your snow is going to start falling, and with that dry air layer already being picked up by the models, you're probably going to have a little bit of a lag time before it starts reaching the ground all the way. And once you start seeing that layer break down, you'll start off with some flurries, and then it should pick up pretty good right after that. That's usually how these evaporative cooling events take place. You'll see a couple of snowflakes, and then you'll see a lot of snowflakes really soon afterwards. And the radar will lie to you the whole time, and especially if you're using like a regular phone radar app, it'll tell you it's snowing
That's not.
way before you actually start seeing the snow. That's one of the fun parts about those. But European model is thinking pretty similar on snow locations. It's a little bit bullish on the amounts, probably just because it's on a 10-to-1 ratio. But let's hover over some of those Florida amounts. I do think it's going to probably line up west of Tallahassee, but that's pretty in line with what we were thinking. Uh, in terms of amounts for Georgia, especially, you got a little 2 inch zone, maybe a pocket of three here and there. I think it's overdoing the overall area of your 2 and 3 inch snowfall amounts, but time will tell. These are very, very tricky to forecast because one, southern snows don't happen too often. They're probably like once every 4 years. Although this year and last year are definitely going to be exceptions. Last year, about the same time, there was nearly blizzard conditions right along the Gulf Coast, and the beach. What was it like? Pensacola Beach, like 8 inches of snow. That's
Milton, Florida
ridiculous.
had 10 inches of snow.
Yeah. Yeah, Milton, Florida had 10 inches of snow. Like unheard of type of stuff. That was a record breaker for sure. Unless there was a bigger snowstorm in like the 1800s that I don't know about. But this is kind of showing that similar evolution to the GFS. GFS had it a little bit further west and north through Georgia. Atlanta Metro, you're missing out on this entirely. There's going to be way too much dry air filtering in, and it's just not strong enough of a low for you to get everything to match up. Unfortunately, I know a lot of people in Atlanta do want to see some more snow. And then for the Northeast, this will kick out for you probably in Providence, Rhode Island, and Eastern Massachusetts. This is going to be one of those ones where it's a very, very sharp cutoff to the north and west. So I would expect a good 2 to 6 inches, maybe. The 6 inch might even be a little too high because this is going to be the kind of a nor'easter that's pulling further away from the U.S. as it goes north and east. Um, but over the long term, as you can see, the euro is thinking there's a lot more snow coming. We're going to be kind of stuck in this pattern where there's a very strong trough signal for the eastern U.S. So lots of cold air is going to be pooling, and that'll bring opportunities for more nor'easters, more clipper systems. It's going to be a busy January, and Florida, we're probably going to stay pretty cool for the rest of the month. What are you thinking?
And I'm thinking the same thing, Caleb. I do find it interesting. The efficiency that the cold air has been intruding into central and southern United States, the efficiency at which it has done it suddenly after so hot of a weekend this last weekend. This cold snap that Florida just got over the last night and into today and into tonight, this is a what they call a true Arctic air mass. This air mass originated 10 days ago over Siberia and proceeded to trek over the Bering Sea and across the northern part of the continent before plunging south and sending central Florida into the, believe it or not, low 20s this morning. It was a frigid morning, one of the coldest mornings we've had in the last decade. But yeah, that just goes to show we're shifting into an active pattern. The jet stream is starting to dip south. And as a result, our temperatures are going to adjust accordingly because as the jet stream moves south, the cold air will intrude more and more with better efficiency. And like you were saying, Caleb, we're shifting into an active pattern. There's going to be more rain, hopefully, more storms, hopefully, and there's going to be a lot more cold air. It's going to finally, after feeling like a non-winter for so long, we're going to start feeling like wintertime now. Our winter has arrived 2 months late.
I know it's pretty nice. Winter down here is 60s, upper 60s. Sometimes you're in the
Mm.
upper 50s. And I got to make fun of you Florida people for a minute. The puffer jackets are way too much right now. I saw so many people walking around with giant, bulky winter jackets. Like this is like sweatshirt weather.
Big for yourself, dude.
I
26
was wearing
years old.
shorts. I
I
was
had
wearing
three
shorts.
I had 3 millimeters of ice on my car this morning and could not leave until I got the front of the car de-iced. Never have had that issue in the state of Florida before. Today was the first.
3 millimeters ain't bad. You could have drove
I
glazed
couldn't see
over
out the window.
windshield. It's just visual impairment.
So yeah,
But
so we will
just
be keeping you guys posted. Hopefully the cooler temperatures do prevail. Like we were saying, they do prevail so that our race weekend at the end of February is not a blazing one like this last weekend. Hopefully the doubleheader will be nice and temperate. The run through the orange groves and the run through Cinderella's castle. Hopefully they're both very very temperate so that all runners at both events can have a a fun event and we don't deal with some serious cases of heat stroke and people collapsing like we unfortunately had over this last week. Do you have
yeah,
any
yeah.
wrapping up thoughts before we close this off for the people?
Um, Not too much. If you live around the Great Lakes, this is gonna be a sucky time for you. This pattern really, really, really favors extended periods of lake effect snow as well. There's just a lot of cold air above the lakes, and whatever's not frozen is just gonna be premium fuel for your snow bands. Yeah, I feel bad for you. I feel bad for you a little bit. But you chose to live there. That was your choice. You could have came down to Florida or like Georgia,
Could have
but
become a
no.
Florida man.
You like your lakes. I get it. They're big. They ain't an ocean though. They're not as warm ever. You do you.
Yes.
Keep your snow up there though.
Yes. Bit up there. All right, guys, you have a great evening, and we will keep you updated as always. If anything happens that you need to be concerned with or you need to pay attention to, we will be on it and covering it. And like we said, our coverage will increase throughout the next month as we draw closer to the next big round of races. Don't want to forget Gasparilla. We will be monitoring the Gasparilla race event at the beginning of February as well. So stay tuned for that. I know we're really big on the Disney races around here, big Disney runner here, but we also will be paying attention to the major run event, Tampa's flagship race, the Gasparilla. We will be monitoring the conditions for that as well. Ladies and gentlemen, you have a great evening. Stay warm as Central Florida once again plunges into the mid to lower 30s tonight. Stay warm. Get ready with those umbrellas on Sunday and then another round of 30s next week. Florida Man is out.